Hi there, I'm Cy Williams, publisher, editor of High Canada Magazine. And we're sitting here today with Shannon Ford-Smith at the Lift Expo 2019, the very first expo to be held this year. It's a very big expo, it's been very busy, and we've had the honor, the extreme honor of finally being able to sit down with Shannon after we've been trying to do this for a little while. And we're going to be talking about plant medicine, entheogens, and if you don't know what an entheogen is, you're going to find out in a little while. We're going to be talking about microdosing. We're going to be talking about taking time to heal yourself, trauma, and the importance of cannabis and other plant-related medicines when it comes to mental health, physical health, and spiritual health. Shannon, it was a real pleasure for you to join us.
I'm so happy to finally be doing this.
I know. You have been involved in so many things over the last year. We have been watching you online with bated breath from your extreme enthusiasm when it comes to your passion for cycling. You're an avid cyclist, well known within the international cycling community. You're also a very well known and respected patient advocate. Your work advocating for patients' rights and access to medication, to be perfectly honest, inspires me and inspires so many people. So it really is an honor to be able to sit down with you today.
Thank you so much.
So welcome. So we were just talking about entheogens.
Yeah.
And I was unfamiliar with the term. And if you could bring us back, explain to me what an entheogen is and why it's important.
So it's a new area that we're starting to really focus on within medicine. I think we're seeing these trends for 2019. It's going to be really big, and it's a lot of the research that's coming out of be it plant medicine or other entheogens that are actually man-made, mixing in with both physical therapy and psychotherapy to help people really resolve trauma as well as health issues.
So I've been reading a lot lately about microdosing with psychedelics. Would that be considered an entheogen?
Yes.
Okay. I've been reading online in a number of reports how much legitimacy and validity this form of plant medicine is taking not only in Canada but around the world. And I know a number of people, a number of close personal friends, and people I've spoken to on the event circuit who have turned to microdosing and found it to be an effective therapy, whether it was battling depression, mental health issues, addiction, healing overall. I've seen, I've talked to soldiers coming back with terrible post-traumatic stress syndrome who've been turning to microdosing. So you have way more knowledge and experience at this point in your travels and discussions around the Canadian and international sphere. And it seems that microdosing and the plant medicine side of it and cannabis are almost moving hand in hand into this great new era. And while we're really getting a lot of information and education about cannabis and CBDs and terps, we're only hearing little bits and bobs about microdosing. It is a very popular topic. And if I were a beginner interested in microdosing, where would I go for some initial information?
Well, the initial information right now, you can find a fair amount on the internet. As of August 23rd, FDA actually approved psilocybin for clinical trials in a microdose form with respect to treating treatment-resistant depression. So with the FDA pushing this forward, I'm really hoping that will be a lot more information that starts to come out in and around this. So we are, there's a lot of talk right now about how it can help with mental health issues, depression, anxiety, and I know from my own personal experience that's what first led me to this.
Now, sorry for a little stepping here, but you suffered a brain injury a number of years ago, and you've gone through quite the restorative recuperation process, utilizing cannabis in your recovery and delving into, to a certain degree, the benefits of microdosing. or psychedelics. Sorry, what was that wonderful term you used?
Entheogens.
Entheogens, or basically the new plant medicine.
Yeah. So initially I was brought to it for the sake of trying to deal with, the mental repercussions that I had of 20 years of battling a very physically painful situation and a lot of the trauma that came with it. I spent 2 years in the hospital as a child, where they did a lot of research on me. I came out of the hospital, it was a success story, but I never really felt okay. And then going through all the different health issues that I've had to see over the years, including losing the use of my body part of me, trying to regain that, dealing with very physical and traumatic and mentally exhausting situations. To go from that to using something like this to help deal with the depressive issues, I was really blown away that after 20 years of dealing with suicidal ideation daily for 20 years, within a month of microdosing of psilocybin, I said to someone, I was like, oh, my face feels really funny lately, and it's the fact that I was smiling, and I just wasn't used to it. And so it's been really life changing. But what I didn't know going into it is I was using it for the mental health benefits. And when I told my doctors about this, they all off the record said, "Oh, thank God," because they know that it actually has effects to help heal some of the physical issues that I'm dealing with neurologically.
Oh, I see, and I didn't even realize.
Yeah,
I've been focused on the mental health aspects and the spiritual health aspects. But
it's all connected.
I didn't even realize that there were physical attributes as well that could help heal.
Yeah, so a lot of these substances, so it's the plant medicine as well as some of the man-made, like LSD, is shown as being really helping with neuroplasticity. Out of all of the entheogens, it seems to be the most out of all of them. But there's a lot of natural ones, some that are man-made, and they're all really wonderful tools at helping the brain to heal itself. And they're trying to look into this more. So whether or not the brain heals itself for physical matters or for the mental health and your spiritual health, it's all doing really positive things. And I've yet to see negative side effects from it personally, and that's my own experience.
Let's go back a couple of steps. What originally got you interested in plant medicine during your recovery? I understand you started with cannabis. Incorporating that into your treatment regimes.
Yeah.
Tell us how that went and how you did that.
So with cannabis, the funny thing was I wasn't just someone that didn't use cannabis previously. I had labeled myself as being straight edge. It's like I don't drink, I don't do drugs, I don't take antibiotics, I don't drink coffee, like nothing. Okay. And so I went from someone like that, and I always thought like, okay, yeah, no, I tough it out. I don't even take Advil anymore. I've done that, right? And so I went from that, but after 20 years of taking Advil for the most part, up until I decided to make that change, and not being able to manage my pain, I finally hit a breaking point when I started to relapse and I started to lose function in my body, and also the pain levels became excruciating. And after I was staying with a friend, I had just moved out to BC, and I was staying with a friend, and after 3 days of not sleeping, he was like, listen, I know that you don't do this, but I'm just going to leave this here. And he left me like a joint that was rolled there. And I waited another day of not sleeping, and then when I finally broke, I tried it, and I wasn't sleeping, wasn't eating, it was in excruciating pain. I tried it, and I cried tears of joy and relief, because I hadn't had anything that had even remotely touched my pain, including narcotics, in 20 years. So to find something that worked for the type of pain that I had was really incredible. So from there,
a turning point in your recovery.
that was a huge, that would be the piece that, it might have taken a few more years to really figure out how to treat this and what is it that I'm dealing with. But from there, I ended up finding different formats that worked for me, and then it was trial and error, and just going based on my own medical knowledge that I had from being in healthcare previously and studying the human body. And I decided to start taking really high doses of Phoenix tears at night to try and, my understanding was, if I can put my body into a state where it is so, we talk about sympathetic, parasympathetic, fight or flight, rest and digest. If I can go into a parasympathetic state where I am so relaxed, hopefully at that point I can just allow my body to do what it wants to do, because the body does want to heal itself, right? So that was my thinking. And between cannabis, hyperbaric oxygen chamber therapy, every single other type of treatment possible, including a microdose of an actual drug that I'm on that helps to reverse some of these things. The combined efforts got me to a point where we did start to, I did start to get better, and things were moving along, and my body was healing. But I felt like I almost sort of plateaued a little bit, and that's when I realized it was a success story because it's like, okay, I'm moving around, I'm walking, I'm technically getting back on a bike, I'm technically working again, but I didn't really feel like I was living. And then that's what brought me to, like, I hit a really low point last fall, and I said my last resort was mental health. The last thing that I ever tried in my life will be microdosing mushrooms.
Which last fall, it was the concept of microdosing was really hitting the cannabis space quite hard.
Yeah.
And we're learning about something that had a great amount of stigma. And we were, even considering we're the cannabis industry, didn't have a lot of information on, and we're relying on outdated 1970s hippie ideology, or this
Lots of flowers.
Yeah, lots of flowers, tripping balls, and all of that.
Yeah.
But, so you're elbow deep in an industry that was transitioning over from the gray market to white market. I find it fascinating that you placed yourself in a role where you could serve patients and help yourself heal during this transition.
I think it's always a balance with that, right?
I run a parallel. I'm mentioning this because there's a parallel to what you're doing now with microdosing, and it's at the same place cannabis was 2 or 3 years ago, surrounded by stigma, confusion, misunderstanding, and a lack of information and education about how it can help and where to even start. And I know when you started, probably when you looked at cannabis, there might not have been a lot of information, or there's probably a lot of
I was just worried I'd be helping my pain when I'd be frying my brain the whole time, right? Frying my brain. And so, I went from a state where I was having some cognitive issues to using cannabis and psilocybin and some other compounds. And I went from worrying about frying my brain to understanding that I'm actually getting a lot smarter because I'm educating myself while using nootropics, while working on my neuroplasticity, and
I'm sorry, nootropics?
Nootropics, yeah.
Nootropics. What is that term?
So a term that's come out in the past few years to really try and help to describe these different substances that are now in the market space that are going to help make you smarter. Help the brain to function optimally.
I like all these new words I'm learning. If I wanted to find out more information for myself about microdosing, would there be a group or an organization you would direct me at, or a starting point?
I think a starting point. There's a wonderful researcher, Paul Stamets. If you Google search him, you find his website. He's got a ton of information. It's actually his blend, but not through him personally. But he's come up with a certain ratio of psilocybin to lion's mane, which is a mushroom that's actually legal and has some clinical data behind it to support how it helps with neurogenesis, as well as niacin, which is a vasodilator. And what that does is the theory is it helps to kind of help push this out to the ends of the nerves, the substance. So he's the person that created this particular ratio that seems to be quite helpful. And then, years later, my understanding is that we're now doing research based off of what he was looking into a long time ago.
Have you faced any adversity or challenges because of your choices, treatment choices?
I just visited my family for the holidays. All kidding aside, my family, they're obviously of a different generation, right? That being said, as I educate them, it's really wonderful to see how much they've warmed up to all this. They're quite proud of the work that I've done in the cannabis industry. And there's obviously some hesitation, and any of their, anything that comes from them comes from a place of just worry and concern because of the way that things were framed years ago, where, you know, all the hippies were all tripping and whatnot, and the information wasn't really delivered the right way.
We are fighting stigma daily on so many different levels. That would definitely be a challenge in the world, having to educate everyone around you and dispel the myths that we've been force-fed for the last 30 or 40 years.
Yeah. So it's funny that you asked that, because, you know, there's some people that might have a little bit of resistance, but overall, I think most people are really excited about the fact that every day I continue to improve. I'm happier. I no longer fall from my MS type symptoms. I'm regaining my fine motor skills. I'm learning how to paint again. I'm learning how to skate again. It's like every day there's this new wonderful thing that's happening. So for the people that were perhaps naysayers, they're kind of like, okay, but you keep doing what you're doing because you're not harming anyone and things are going really well. Families coming around, and in general, I'm pleasantly surprised to see how many of my friends have already, explored this or have an open curiosity about it. And I think it helps that, I've been tied into certain entrepreneurial communities for years, because I find that it's a lot of the entrepreneurs that are sort of driving this forward. They became successful, were looking for meaning in their life, and then, looking for different ways to have abstract problem solving, and this is definitely a tool to help with all that.
A great way to overcome adversity. Speaking of challenges and adversity, as a woman in the Canadian or international cannabis space, have there been any other big challenges or adversity that you've had to face, that you've had to overcome to bring to where you are now? I know we talk a lot about how opening and wonderful, welcoming the cannabis community can be. But there's always a dark side to every industry, and there's people are people. So what other challenges have you got?
I think within this industry there's a few things. There's right now everyone's really excited, but sometimes the excitement will supersede facts, if you will, right? So it's like, hey, I've got this great opportunity. We've got the best blank. This is the best blank this. Oh, we're going to be this way, so therefore, don't worry, you'll be taken care of. Everyone's going to get rich because blank, right? So for me, it's like having, if I'm ever looking at a potential new opportunity, I want to make sure that the facts are really based within reality.
Gotcha.
So that's a big thing.
It is a community of dreamers, and we like to dream big, and we like to go after those dreams.
I'm off in the clouds a lot of the time too. That's part of, like me walking and being able to do everything that I do physically today happened because I'm someone that was off in the clouds being like, this isn't supposed to be possible, but maybe. Maybe. So I can appreciate that. But when it comes to business, it's like, okay, let's be up here sometimes, but let's meet down here and talk about what's really happening.
Grounded in reality.
Yeah, grounded in reality.
Now, if you could offer any advice to other women entering the industry right now, or other women looking at cannabis as a treatment option, or microdosing as a treatment option, what kind of advice would you give them? I think this is an industry advice, not just for the general public, but people entering our industry, our Canadian cannabis space. You've gone through some challenges, adversity, you're still here, you are advocating for patients, and not only are you advocating for patients on behalf of cannabis as a treatment option, you've expanded that into all platforms.
I think it's too important. Like, I've had such tremendous healing that for me to not talk about this is doing a disservice to others, I think. But as far as offering advice to somebody coming into the industry, or specifically a female that has interest, to come in, really explore it. I think that there's a lot of interesting women's groups that are sort of happening right now to help drive those initiatives forward. So I do see within this space that we are trying to focus on diversity and really being looks of everyone. You know, we've spoken about some of my, like, I've had my own challenges with some of different elements within this industry, and you know, we've heard of these things happening with potentially certain males.
There have been, over the years, anybody in the cannabis space or who's worked in the cannabis space is probably well aware that there's a certain level of misogyny and inappropriateness directed towards women within the industry, and it can be a big challenge when you're faced with entering a daunting new industry and also have to fend off the advances of 7 out of the last 10 men you just were speaking with. Is that a problem with you?
So it's a problem that's happened in the past, but what I'd say is that from my own personal experience is not to, I don't want any of these sort of things to turn into like an accusatory type situation, which is what we saw, we saw the Me Too movement happen where we started to open up the space, started to talk about these things, but then it became you did this and you did that, and these people are bad, this side's bad. And what I'd rather say is, like, let's open up the space. If there's something going on, let's have a chat. You can chat with anyone. Like, if you come into this industry and you're having an issue, reach out to someone that you feel safe with. It's not that it's an unsafe industry whatsoever, but if there is this particular type of challenge, we can open up the conversation. But what I want to see happening is less of an accusatory thing and more of an invite. I'm in a place now within, my own personal development and career where I feel strong enough to talk to the person to say, buddy, what's going on? What's going on here, right? But I think it's a matter of opening up the conversation and bringing people together and just having an open dialogue of like, okay, why was that happening? What can we do to bring people together and figure out how to make this go a little bit smoother? Because all I've seen in the past is sort of like that you did this and you're at, and I don't like the finger pointing and the judging and labeling.
It ends the conversation.
It ends the conversation
before we can move forward with any kind of learning, healing.
And I think that every industry is potentially doing this right now too, right? So I think for anyone who's coming, it's like, have there been challenges? Sure, but it's been absolutely everywhere in every sector.
I agree. We all have challenges. I think that the number one thing is we can overcome these challenges with the support of our peers.
The support of our peers, yeah. And coming together and really trying to understand each other, which is, I think, the biggest thing. Because there's no bad people. People might have behavior that they might be unaware of, or if they are aware of, perhaps there's a conversation that happens around that, but it doesn't need to turn into just, a sort of negative thing. Because on the flip side of all of this, I've also had perhaps one of the most heartwarming experiences in this industry where it's like, yeah, fine, a few challenges over here, but it's also like I see someone like yourself whenever I travel to a new city, or I see all these different people from around the world, and they're like family, and we really do look out for one another. And yeah, and it is a really wonderful place to really break down those the initial icebreakers in other industries where it's like, here's my card, what do you do? Here, right out of the gates, you have an understanding that there's probably a big reason as to why the person is here. There's a personal story as to why this plant has helped them overcome something, or someone in their family, or so there's already going to be that commonality there, and you can connect with each other in a bit more of a deep and sincere fashion.
You are heartening me so much about our industry right now. Last question.
Yeah.
3 things that you think everybody needs. You could recommend 3 things that you personally think that everyone can use in their life. What would it be? It's always our last trick question. We use that on everyone we've interviewed for our Women in Week feature.
3 things that everybody needs.
I want.
The one part of my brain's going, well, it's not up to me to tell people what they need.
First person ever used it.
Yeah. I think unconditional self-love. I'm going to go out there and it's not going to... Unconditional self-love would just probably encompass everything, because with that, you'll probably get what you need.
Shannon, thank you so much for sitting down with me today and talking about microdosing and talking about cannabis.
Thank you. Thank you for opening up the space like this. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. And I've been dying to hear your personal cannabis purchase for quite a while.
Yeah.
Our readers and listeners.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure. On behalf of High Canada Magazine, thank you. And pick up the January issue featuring Shannon's complete interview for free digital download as of January 25th off our website, www.highcanada.net, or off our www.issue.com/High Canada Magazine websites. You can also look for the full video interview on YouTube on our High Canada Magazine YouTube channel.